Back in 1995, less than 2% of the world population was online, mostly people in the West. Now almost 3.2 billion people have access to the internet. More than half the population of the world is using the internet, and the number is still growing at the rate of maybe 10 people per second. We are dependent on the internet for the things we do in our daily lives, from national security to the supply of groceries to the store. Everything is dependent on the internet. But the internet is not indestructible. It can be taken away for a stretch of a time, and having no internet is like having no electricity, or maybe even worse. Cyber attacks. Cyber attacks could bring down the internet. Hackers releasing a software affecting the routers, shutting down the domain name servers, and preventing websites from loading. They can control everything in that particular country. They can get into country's record, manipulate them, or may erase every criminal record from every database. There will be chaos everywhere, and terrorism will be at its peak, because without internet there will be no way of getting the information from one place to another that fast. They can also get their hands on the share market. In short, they can also bring down the economy and security of the country to its knees. Cutting down of deep sea internet cables that carries huge volume of internet traffic could disconnect one part of the world from another. The government of some countries like Iran, Egypt, Turkey have kill switches that can simply turn off the internet of their country, like Egypt did in 2011, to slow down the activity of protesters. However, it is difficult for a big country to make use of kill switches or even having them. Now you must be thinking that all these events can be prevented. But what if there's a danger that can't be prevented? Which is space. What if a large solar flare or solar storm takes out our satellite, power grid or computer system? In July 2012, Earth was almost knocked back to the Stone Age by a massive solar flare. A very massive solar flare. It just missed the Earth by a whisker. According to Daniel Baker, who led the research of the solar flare, said that if it had hit, we would still be picking up the pieces. But what could happen to the world in the event of internet failure, other than complete chaos and terrorism? Of course, easy communication will come to an end. No more Twitter, Facebook or other social media platforms. Cables and satellite which support our wireless phone service wouldn't be able to work without the internet. So we'll have to go back in writing letters. At least pigeons will get to work again. Radio channels and libraries will be back at business, as without the internet there will be no way of getting easy knowledge. We'll not be able to learn anything we want just by a single click. National security will take a huge hit, as most of the national security agencies rely heavily on the internet. So they'll no longer be able to gather information that fast, leading to chaos everywhere. Shortage of food. Demand and supply of the food relies heavily on the internet. From shipping to orders, supplies, everything is dependent on the internet. So without internet there will be shortage of food everywhere. Transportation will take a huge hit, as the traffic light works on the internet. So without the internet, traffic lights will go down, which will heavily affect the transportation. Airlines and shipping companies will collapse, as there will be no navigation system to guide them. And of course, there will be unemployment, as internet-based companies will go down in the events of internet failure, which will leave huge number of people without jobs and unemployment. All the millionaires and billionaires will suffer a huge loss, because share market will collapse, as shares and stocks are entirely based on internet, and practically without internet we'll be back to Stone Age. Or maybe not. Maybe we can survive without the internet. And there are people who have been surviving without the internet. Best example of this is North Korea. Other than the government, very few people have access to the internet in North Korea. The number of internet users is only 600 out of the total population of 25 million. But maybe deprived of internet didn't affect them much, because they don't really know what internet actually means. Just imagine living like people of North Korea, completely unaware about the events of the world, deprived of everything we have today because of internet. So what do you think will happen to the world in the event of internet failure? Tell us what you think in the comments below. You can also reach our website on www.naughtinbooks.com.